India is a fascinating country, and what fascinates me personally, if you ask, it's plurality, it's diversity in terms of language, in terms of food, in terms of culture, in terms of ecosystem. All those things kind of makes it quite a fascinating and interesting country. At the same time, this also brings in numerous multitude of complexity to deal with the issues this country faces. The complexity of India and the plurality of India also throws up multiple challenges when we want to address some of the social, economic, political, ecological issues of the country. We boast ourselves as a country which has a pretty young population. Our median age is somewhere about 28 years. But the kind of problems that we grapple with, which are very different and complex. So we need people who can engage in these complex issues, which are traditional, as well as the issues which have emerged in recent decades and recent times. So for this, we need some kind of development practitioners who can, who are trained, who understand not only society and the polity or the economy of the issues, but also have certain kind of values, and the values that we also believe in as a university, particularly the just, human, equitable society that we are envisioning. And we would like our practitioners also to just not understand the key words associated with that, but realize, internalize of these values. We thought a little more comprehensively around this. So broadly, we looked at it from three aspects. One of the aspects is that they must understand the idea of development itself from different disciplinary perspective. So they understand development from sociological perspective, historical perspective, economic perspective, political perspective, ecological perspective. So that is set of way they understand that they have a broader understanding of, our more holistic understanding of development. For this, the kind of professional who are needed is different, and so what we believe is that the issues that we are dealing with are a complex mix of social, economic, and also who are equipped with the kind of changing scenarios. So it's not that what is already the issues that we know and we will deal with it, but also forthcoming issues, they should be equipped well to deal with that. And for that, the kind of professional that we need to prepare are different. They cannot be prepared on the basis of only existing knowledge, but also equipped to address the futuristic or future issues. And with keeping that in mind, and broadly the values of just, equitable, human society with individuals carrying the values of empathy and compassion, that's the kind of professional that you would like to kind of send out to the society to work for these set of development challenges and issues. And that is one of our kind of imagination and thinking of building this program and equipping or creating these professionals who would go out to work for this society. I was born and brought up in the place called Rourkela, and it's an interesting town because it's a Nehruvian industrial town, quite cosmopolitan in nature. My journey in some sense actually gives me a sense when I teach, when I go to my classroom also. I was a vernacular medium student, and when I went to college there in a government college and suddenly saw students coming from different background who speak good English, and it was at times intimidating, but I learned from that. And from there, when I went to university, and it was you can call it a Mufassil University, Sambalpur University, and a lot of students who came were from villages. And suddenly I found myself as a kind of a town boy in that university, and it was altogether a very different experience. So these experiences together kind of built not only character in me, but also the humility of being a human being, how to connect with other people. And from there, then it was not in my family also, not many would have kind of been gone into doing PhD and all that. And I came to this institute called Institute for Social and Economic Change in Isaac here in Bangalore, established by one of the stalwarts, Professor V.K.R. Virao, and came to work, do my PhD here. And I chose a topic also of which I could connect better with. It was on sifting cultivation. It was among the tribes in Odisha, in Koraput region. I went to Gujarat. I went to institute called Gujarat Institute of Development Research, where I worked on participatory irrigation management. In Kutch, I worked on post-disaster, post-earthquake disaster. And I worked around in different places in Gujarat, actually, including Mehsana and other places. So in all these years, one thing that generally actually kept me interested was people and community particularly, and the resources and on which they kind of depend on living. So I have been quite eclectic actually around my research. I worked on agriculture, forest, water related issues, even mining and informal mining related issues. But of late, over the last decade or so, I have been kind of focusing largely on two broad issues. One is the coastal and marine scape, where I have been working on the small scale fisheries and their challenges and issues, their dispositions. And the other side is looking at commons, basically the natural resource which we depend on, air, water, or everything. These are all in the domain of commons, and any depletion of those resources or degradation of those resources actually largely affects the poor more, and that has been a kind of interest for me over the last decade or so. I read a lot of academic books, and being a professional, you engage with that. You read PhD thesis, you review for journal papers and all that. But that's not something that generally kind of keeps me motivated. What actually keeps me motivated is reading fiction. And some of the writers that I really love, one of them is obviously Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And Marquez, Love in the Time of Cholera is one of my favorites, you can say. And a lot of these, in that sense, Latin American writer like Losa is one of another favorites of mine. And then like Chinua Achebe, that you know. So this is something that is that I really enjoy. Is some of the Indian writers, particularly Hindi writers like Vinod Shukla ji, or Odia writer like Ramakant Rath, their poetry, that has been kind of quite enticing. I really enjoy reading some of those things. So one of the interests that I carried and sustained for over a period of time was poetry. I used to write in Odia earlier, but as I moved, as a poet, you have this urge to communicate to others, and then I gradually moved into writing more in English. So sometimes I write in Hindi, but largely now I'm writing in English. Some of these poems are published in different places, including Deccan Herald here. And there is one called Madras Courier, and some such journals and magazines where some of these poems are published. I wish one of the days I would have a compilation of my poetry. Maybe that is something that I'm dreaming of. So I'll read out a poem for you. Maybe this is the one I I listened to a lot of classical music, and this was time when Bismillah Khan Sahab passed away, and you know Bismillah Khan Sahab and his attachment with Vanaras or Varanasi. And this is a poem, a tribute to Bismillah Khan Sahab that I wrote. It was published long back in Deccan Herald. Between blistering terrain and my words, a life incarnates. Someone at distance whispers, Bismillah. Someone at distance. A boy runs to play with the marbles. The wings spread across cloud. This is the time for Malhar. I wait for your return. Now when you are not there, I gather all these small little images you left behind. The soothing sound of Sehnai creates resonance in ear and thought. Yaman takes uncounted steps in Avaro and mingles in Ganga like a poem. From Tar to Mandra, from Sa to Ni, from life to Kadavar, each stanza of your poem warped with a ferryman who sings a kajari. Coming Holi, you will not be there with us, Ustad, nor your Sehnai will be filling the heart for the enduring fasting of Ramadan. From Rishabh to Pancham, the language of your invisible poetry will cover the minuscule distance of death. I'll wait for your return in the mournful afternoon's veranda to start the journey from Shabd to Naad.